Hey guys and girls, it's Fox Green back here again today, and this is going to be the most detailed review you've ever seen on the Novritsch SSX303.
That was pretty damn sweet.
In this review, I'm going to go over the usual things such as what's in the box, build quality, functionality, but I'm also going to do a full-on strip down internally to show you all the upgrade parts in this gun. I'm going to do an outdoor shooting test with wind and heavyweight BBs. I'm going to do an indoor grouping test, trigger test, sound test, and much more. So if you wanted to know exactly what this gun is capable of doing, this is the review for you. It's going to be long, but it needs to be long to go through this gun in detail. So let's start off with what you get in the box when you pick up this Novritsch SSX303. First thing you're going to get is naturally the gun. Now, not as shown on the outside of the box, you won't get a suppressor and a scope. You'll get the main gun and you'll get one gas mag, which are green gas CO2 mags. This is the only mag you can get for the Novritsch SSX303 out there. He's not doing CO2 mags for this currently. As well as this, you'll get a booklet and you'll also get one Allen key which will disassemble these outer screws to take the gun apart. The version I picked up here was the 1 joule version because I'm in Ireland where all shooting is 1 joules. And interesting enough, when I disassemble this gun, as you'll see later, it came with a version 2.0 gas block in it. Now, when I chronoed this gun out of the box with that version 2.0 in it, it was coming in at about 0.6 of a joule to 0.7. But the additional one, when I installed it in it, it came in just under a joule at around 0.92 to 0.95 joules. So I think Novritsch is shipping them with a lower joule rate just so they get through customs and into the country with no issues. But then when you get it, you have to stick the 1 joule one into the gun. It's very simple and easy to do that, but please note, if you get your gun and you think it's shooting really low power, it's just you need to stick the other gas block in and it's perfect. Also, I'd like to point out the mag that came with this gun also has a pre-notched, so you're not going to have double feeding issues like you had originally when the Novritsch SSX303 came out. There's no issues with this gun out of the box, it just works. So on the build quality of this gun, the first thing you might notice is that the whole main upper part of the body looks something like out of a Star Wars film, but it's all made of aluminium. However, the lower part here for your hand grip is the standard plastic grip which you'd find in the Novritsch SSX303 or any MK variant. The plastic stock back here also is plastic, but the tube here is aluminium and it's got 5 settings for different lengths. When this gun is fully extended, it's 720mm long. That's excluding the silencer. But when it's folded all the way in, it'll come in at 640mm. Now, interesting enough, Novritsch is doing a folding stock for this. So this could become a really handy backpack sniper rifle which you can pull out and unfold. So that's an interesting feature that is about to come. Interesting to note here that this is one of the first Novritsch guns that doesn't come with the trademarked inner spiral barrel, even though you can see it through these nice M-lock rails. So as you can see, there's M-lock rails on the side and underneath, but it sports a long upper Picatinny rail all the way along the top, which allows ultimate amount of attachments. The gun really doesn't look good unless you rock it with a silencer, and as you'll see later on in my testing, the silencer makes a massive difference with this gun. It's actually quite a bit louder without the silencer than it is with one. All the screws that assemble this gun, there's 6 in total, are really strong, really well made, and they're not going to round out unless you really are doing something wrong. Overall, despite it looking like something out of Star Wars, this gun is very sleek and very well made, well pulled together. There's no wobble, no issues with it. It's a very solid gun. The weight of this gun comes in around 1.65 kilos, but that is actually excluding the attachments here. So it's a little bit heavier with the attachments, but not much. As usual, the SSX does also come with its own unique serial number here. And as you can see, the hop-up is positioned in here, which can be accessed by your finger. However, I will note that it's not actually that easy to access it. And I feel like this slot could have been made a little bit longer, but nonetheless, it can be accessed. Now, you might also note that Novritsch sent me out this lovely short dot scope, which is really nice. Only thing is, I would love to see the quick detached mounts on this, which would be really, really nice. The quality of the scope overall, though, is really, really high. And the eye relief is very, very nice. And obviously, I really do like the zoom feature, which is really nice to use. And the fact that these are quick dial turrets and they're illuminated. If you're comparing this gun in length to your standard SSG rifles, it's much shorter, as I said. And the fact that it will have a folding stock that'll be coming out for it means it's the ultimate backpacker DMR rifle. The TDC screw in this gun is actually made of metal, so that's very good. However, the dust cover that goes over the ejection slot isn't, it's plastic. I would like to have seen the screw portion of that made out of metal, so that this metal TDC doesn't wear out the plastic in that over time. However, if it does, it's a cheap part, and to be honest, on all MK23s, it is actually same. For instance, if you got a Hadron cover, it's still plastic, etc. So he hasn't upgraded that. It would have been nice to see that maybe change, but in the long run, it probably won't make a difference at all. One thing to know about the build qualities here is because there's key mods here, it's actually hard to run a selfie cam on this, so you have to buy an actual Picatinny off mount to stick your selfie cams on it. That's not going to be important for everybody, but it's something to note that you do have to buy something a bit more unique to actually run your selfie cams on this setup. It's also important to note that the tread on this is 14mm CCW. So that includes the build quality of this gun. Now let's go on and talk about the functionality. The functionality of this gun is extremely simple. There's nothing to it. It's literally just mag in and get ready to start pulling the trigger. That's it. The functionality is really simple. It couldn't be an easier gun to actually use on the field. However, there are some other items I'd like to mention on this. The trigger, naturally enough, is a double action trigger because there is a hammer inside this, as you'll see later when we strip it down. So it's no different to any other MK23 gun out there. So it's a double action. The first pull actually loads the BB into the barrel, and the second one releases the hammer and shoots the gas down the barrel and fires the BB. You cannot apply the safety unless you have the first stage broken. So as you can see here, when I pull it all the way back, that's the first stage. Now I can apply safety. Some people thought safety doesn't work in this gun. That's not true. So as you can see, safety now applied and I can't shoot. Take it off, shoot. First stage, click, safety on, can't shoot. Off, shoot. It's also important to note that safety is ambidextrous and can be reached on both sides of the gun. The mags, when inserted, will drop freely when you depress the mag release. It's not like the SSX303 where the mags will purposely not fall out. Now, if you want to prevent that from happening, you can add a little bit tape to the side of the mags. So that means if you do hit it, it will actually not fall out and you'll have to pull it out. So it'll prevent you from losing mags. However, this mag release is really stiff and actually takes quite a bit of force to depress it. So I think Novritsch has solved it in that way. This, believe it or not, will work with a DTT holster. So the whole thing can actually fit on a DTT holster. And when the folding stock comes out, and if you didn't have the suppressor on it, it might actually be something you could rock on your leg, believe it or not. When the scope is actually removed, there is a hole for the standard Hadron TDC top-down mod, so you can put an Allen key in the top and you can adjust your double screws or single screws if you want to rock that over the actual pre-installed TDC. The stock obviously can be adjusted in 5 positions. There's a metal buffer tube, but this stock back here is plastic. However, the 5 positions are very nice and smooth, and overall it is a really nice stock, nice, slim and lightweight. The TDC adjustment is very easy to use, but I will note the more you apply the hop up, the stiffer it gets. Sometimes it can actually get a little bit stuck in position, so just bear that in mind. I'm actually shooting this with 0.46 gram BB, so I have the hop up nearly all the way up with the 1 joule setup, but it's able to shoot these BBs well out to 65, 70 meters on 1 joule, which is very, very impressive. Now, Novritsch recommends that you don't go any heavier than 0.36 gram BBs, but it's good to note that this gun, functionality wise, can actually lift 0.46s and probably 0.48s, even on as low as 1 joule, which is really nice. So Novritsch recommends 0.36 gram BBs and to use the 4 different types of gas depending on the weather to get the best out of this gun. Obviously it's a gas gun, but non-blowback guns like this boast good reliability in cold weather. However, just note that anything under 5 degrees Celsius, this gun isn't actually rated for, and Novritsch states that. So if you want to run this in really cold temperatures, you might want to look at tapping your gas mags for HPA and running a HPA line out of it. But other than that, this gun is good from everything from 25 degrees Celsius and probably hotter all the way down to just about 5 degrees Celsius. And it should shoot really reliably on that. But being green gas, the quicker you shoot, the more the FPS will drop. If you take time between your shots, they'll come out a lot more consistently. But that's a trait that all green gas and gas guns have. Overall, the gun is very comfy to hold, but it's not the best for the C-type grip. But however, when you're holding it like this, it is extremely comfy. There's no sharp edges to catch your hands, but it's not really made for the C-type grip, which suits me fine as I don't use a C-type grip anyway. But you could rock this gun with a nice grip underneath, which will make it very, very nice to handle. Later on in this, I'll be covering the sound of this gun, so you'll be able to hear how loud it is when it's fired with a mag in it. So stay tuned for that coming up later on. I've also done a little test to show you how heavy the trigger pull is on this. So I'm going to show you that right now. So that brings me on to my next point, compatibility. What is this gun compatible with? Well, good thing to note is you can run your TM mags in this, but just note that they are going to run this gun slightly under power. So for instance, this 1 joule setup, as I said, when I changed the gas block, it's coming in at about 0.95 of a joule at best. When I use a TM mag in it, it goes all the way down to 0.65. So I'd recommend sticking with Novritsch mags on this. But funny enough, if you use Novritsch mags in something like your Tokamuri MK23 or ASG, you can see your Tokamuri going from anywhere from 1 joule up to 1.2 joules. It'll actually make your Tokamuri shoot hotter. But also I wouldn't recommend doing that because that will be bad for the gun and can break the internals of it. So just note, run the mags that is meant for this gun in this gun. If you put TM in it, it's just going to shoot pretty weak and it's going to annoy you. And look at the internals of this gun. So for this section, I've completely stripped the gun down to show you exactly what this gun is made of on the inside. So the first thing to note is there's 7 screws on this. There's 2 either side, 1 on the top and 2 either side here. And that's what disassembles the gun. The Allen key it comes with will work for that. However, it's important to note when you're disassembling this screw, if you twist this one, it'll twist this side also. So you actually need 2 of the same size Allen key to take that out and pull this long pin out. And then the most amazing thing, because I didn't expect this, is when you pull the gun out, you'll see that you have a full-on SSX or MK23 inside. So basically, this gun includes a full-on pistol inside with essentially an extended outer and inner barrel. Now the interesting thing about this is the top slide of this inside is very close to the Tokamuri style slide. It's not actually like Novritsch's original SSX303, i.e. it doesn't have illuminated sights and it's not metal, because I guess it is inside a kit and it doesn't need to be. So he has a plastic slide on it. It looks extremely like my Token Rui one without the markings, but it could be similar to an ASG upper as well. So that's very interesting to note. But I got a pleasant surprise when I took this apart, because I assumed originally that it was only the lower half in the body and all the workings were attached to the inside. But so it's quite interesting to say that you actually get the full-on MK or SSX303 inside this package. I thought that was really unique, and it surprised me quite a bit. Now, when we go further and we strip this gun down more, and this is especially important when you're changing that gas block from the low power one to the 1 joule or the higher powered one, it is important to know it's really simple. So the slide comes off in the exact same way. Once the slide comes off, you take out your barrel group, and then you can easily push out your gas block and replace it with the other one and reassemble everything if you so wish. But after all of that, there's 2 screws to take apart the hop-up unit and also a pin to punch out. Once you get at all that, you can actually get in to look at the stock bucking. Now the stock bucking is a Maple Leaf Autobot 50 degree, which I've had no issues out of the box. I've tested it in cold weather, and it works really well. Even on the 1 joule, it still gets really good lift. So I had no reason to change that bucking at all. Sometimes I would change Novrich's stock buckings out to something like a modified, but on this build didn't have to. The 50 degrees perfect out of the box, so that's something I would recommend. So essentially I'm recommending that you don't need to change anything in this gun. Out of interest, I did try Tridas' TDC in this, but it actually won't fit as it's slightly too large a diameter to put the gun back. The TDC that's on this, the wheel, is actually smaller in diameter and made so it can fit inside this casing. So Tridas TDC currently won't work with that, but to be honest, this one's working perfect anyway, so I don't see why you'd need to change it. The barrel in this is a Maple Leaf barrel, and it's 6.01, so it's extremely tight bore. It's extended also to help with accuracy, and the accuracy out of this gun, as you'll see in both the grouping test and outdoor shooting test, is extremely good. And as you can see, stripping down this gun is very simple to do. So if you do get the 1 joule version and it comes with 2 gas blocks, swapping that out is very simple and easy. To change this obviously into the 450 version, the gas block inside has a little removable valve which you can screw out and install the other one to get the max power out of this, which is a 450 FPS version. So very easy gun to adapt in the field. You need very little tools and very little time or skill or know-how to do it. So this brings me on to my most important bit now, is performance, and that's where the testing on this video is going to show up. I'm going to show you the outdoor shooting test. This is conducted at about 30 meters on 3 cans, and you'll be able to see how this gun performed. So here we are at the outdoor range segment. I've got some targets set up behind me, as you can see, and we're going to be testing out this gun's accuracy. I'm also, before this, I'm going to chrono it. I've got the 1 joule bolt in here, and I'll be shooting 0.46 gram BBs in this test. I'm also going to do an audio test with and without the suppressor from a distance using a proper microphone also. So first, let's chrono this gun on 1 joule with 0.46 gram BB. That's 0.928, 0.903, and 0.921. Not bad. So now we're getting ready to do the accuracy test on these cans, as you can see here. So let's just turn on my camera. Okay, we're all set. Let's do this. Now we're going to make a nice little shooting position here. First thing I'm going to do, which you don't need to see, is zero the rifle. I turn on my scope cam here. We're recording. Okay, let's do the accuracy test. The first can starting on the left hand side. Middle can next. Middle can next. Ooh, just hit a piece of grass in front of it. Let's take that one again. Getting quite a lot of overhop. I'm going to back the hop off a little bit. I think it might be the heat outside today. Middle can down and the last can on the right. That's a clip. Let's take her down though. And she's down. I'm pretty happy with that, considering that's about 40 meters with the SSX303 on 1 joule using heavy BBs. So that's not bad. Let's set them up again and try it a second time. That wasn't too bad, but I think I can make a few more adjustments to my sight before we'll go for this again. It's going left to right. Let's do it. Hit but no fall. That was pretty damn sweet. Given that this was 1 joule gun with heavyweight BBs, there was actually a bit of wind. I was actually very impressed by its accuracy as a DMR. I don't think it would be on par with my SSG bolt action rifles, but it's actually very close, so I'm very impressed with that. So finally we'll look at the sound test just to see what this gun sounds like at distance. Now, the reason I didn't do this indoors is it doesn't give you a true reflection. I wanted to show you what it'd be like if someone was about 15 meters away, what they would hear if you're shooting at them. Now in this test, I'm going to shoot the BBs past the camera, I mean real close to the camera, so close that I risk it getting actually shot out. And I want you to listen to the sound. The first sounds are going to be with no suppressor, and the next one's going to be with the suppressor. So listen carefully from that gun at about 15 meters distance. See if you can hear the audible difference. I'm going to leave my microphone here so it picks up the best possible sound also. There we go. Microphone attached to the GoPro. Okay, that's the suppressor off. And now let's fire a few shots over the top. Check I got enough BBs. Yep. Let's do this. Audibly, to me, it makes a huge difference when I'm shooting the gun. But from distance, that's where the true effects of a silencer come in. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the indoor grouping test, just to see how this gun groups. Okay, so now we're doing the indoor shooting test, which is a 15-meter grouping test. The idea here is to aim at this center point. I'll be using a laser to show that I'm actually aiming as close to this point as possible, and testing to see how tight the group is with this gun. So this is a good test because there's no wind, etc. So it really shows the true accuracy of this gun. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to be using Novritsch 0.46 gram BBs, just like the outdoor test, and I'll be using the laser sight on this O-light on top of this to show that I'm aiming at the same point of aim with each shot. So let's test this out and see how we get on. Okay, that's 10 shots. Let's see how we got on. Turn off the laser. Okay. So yep, that's 10 shots at 15 meters, and oh my god. It looks like everything has gone pretty much through the bullseye. Might have had one or two high shots here, but that's incredible to say that they've all gone through pretty much the bullseye, which is, as you can see here, is the size of my baby fingernail. Looks like we had one or two high shots, but generally speaking, the grouping test is pretty bang on. That's very impressive results, given that this center circle is probably about 3 inches, and this bullseye is probably about 3/4 of an inch or in size. Actually, no, it's less than that. So yeah, that's really impressive. So as you can see from that indoor shooting test, this gun shoots really tight groups. Now I know that was 15 meters, but as you can see, I took all the human error out of it by showing you the same point to aim and fired, and it seems to be grouping very tight, like within an inch. Maybe one or two went a little bit high, but those 10 shots were so tight, and something that was pretty much the size of my fingernail. I think, you know, that's a testament to the long Type R barrel in there, and for DMR, that's really good. So guys and girls, that's the whole review. I hope you really enjoyed it and found this review very interesting. And to be honest, I have to say, all in all, to conclude, I think this is a very impressive gun. It's not a gun that you need to modify internally. When the folding stock comes out, I will be getting that, because I think it's going to be the ultimate backpack DMR. And you know, I like Star Wars, and this looks kind of like a Stormtrooper gun. I think it's pretty cool. It's a good solid buy, super cheap at €265, and I think this is probably the best introduction to sniping out there, because going bolt action, especially for a beginner, is very daunting and puts people off the sport. But this, something like this with quick follow-up shots, this is the way to get into sniping. And if you're already a good sniper out there, this is just something that's really fun to bring with you, and it'll really upgrade your stealth game massively. Personally, me, in time, I might HBA this, because in Ireland the weather is super cold pretty much all the time. So I might do that, but I'm going to rock this standard for a good few games, as you'll be seeing on my channel coming up. So be sure to check it out and see how I get on with this this kit. So thanks for watching. I'm Fox Green. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. It all helps my channel out massively, and I'll talk to you guys soon.